Hi guys, I'm reading chapter 15, part 4 of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So let's get into it. Chapter 15. The commander knocked at the door. The knock is prescribed. The sitting room is supposed to be Serena Joy's territory. He's supposed to ask permission to enter it. She likes to keep him waiting. It's a little thing, but in this household, little things mean a lot. Tonight, however, she doesn't even get that, because before Serena Joy can speak, he steps forward into the room anyway. Maybe he's just forgotten the protocol, but maybe it's deliberate. Who knows what she did to him over the silver-encrusted dinner table, or didn't say. The commander has on his black uniform, in which looks like a museum guard. A semi-retired man, genial, but wary, killing time, but only at first glance. After that, he looks like a Midwestern bank president, with his straight, neatly brushed silver hair, his sober posture, shoulders a little stooped. And after that there is his mustache, silver also, and after that his chin, which really you can't miss. When you get down as far as the chin, he looks like a vodka ad in a glossy magazine of times gone by. His manner is mild, his hands large, with thick fingers and acquisitive thumbs, his blue eyes uncommunicative, falsely innocuous. He looks us over as if taking inventory. One kneeling woman in red, one seated woman in blue, two in green. Standing, a solitary man, thin-faced, in the background, who manages to appear puzzled, as if he can't quite remember how well. Seems to appear puzzled, as if he can't quite remember how we all got there. How we all got in here. As if we are something he inherited, like a Victorian pump organ, and he hasn't figured out what to do with us, what we are worth. He nods in the general direction of Serena Joy, who does not make a sound. He crosses to the large leather chair reserved for him, takes the key out of his pocket, fumbles with the ornate brass-bound leather-covered box. These stands on the table beside the chair. He inserts the key, opens the box, lifts out the Bible, an ordinary copy with a black cover and gold-edged pages. The Bible is kept locked up, the way people once kept tea locked up, so the servants wouldn't steal it. It is an incendiary device. Who knows what we'd make of it if we ever got our hands on it. We can be read too from it by him, but we cannot read. Our heads turn towards him. We are expectant. Here comes our bedtime story. The commander sits down and crosses his legs, watched by us. The bookmarks are in place. He opens the book. He clears his throat as if embarrassed. Can I have a drink of water? He says. Please, he adds. Behind me, one of them, Cora or Rita, leaves her space in the tableau and pads off towards the kitchen. The commander sits, looking down. The commander sighs, takes out a pair of reading glasses from his side jacket pocket, gold rims, slips them on. Now he looks like a shoemaker in an old fairy tale book. Is there no end to his disguises or benevolence? We watch him, every inch, every flicker. To be a man watched by women, it must be entirely strange to have them watching him all the time. To have them wondering what he is going to do next. To have them flinch when he moves, even if it's a harmless enough move. To reach for an ashtray perhaps. To have them sizing him up. To have them thinking he can't do it. He won't do it. He'll have to do. This last as if he weren't a garment, out of style or shoddy, which must nevertheless he put on because there's nothing else available. To have them putting him on, trying him out, while he himself puts them on, like a sock over a foot, onto the stub of himself, his extra sensitive thumb, his tentacle, his delicate, stalked slug's eye, which extrudes, expands, winces, and shrivels back into himself when touched wrongly, grows big again, bulging a little at the tip, travelling forward as if a long leaf into them, a vid for vision. To achieve vision in this way, this journey into a darkness that is composed of a woman, who can see in darkness while he himself strains blindly forward. She watches him from within. We're all watching him. It's one thing we can really do, and it's not for nothing. If he were to falter, fail, or die, what would become of us? No, one day he's like a boot, hard on the outside, giving shape to a pulp of tenderfoot. That's just a wish. I've been watching him for some time, and he's given no evidence of softness. But watch out, Commander, I tell him in my head. I've got my eye on you. One false move, and I'm dead. Still, it must be hell to be a man like that. It must be fine. It must be hell. It must be very silent. The water appears. The commander drinks it. Thank you, he says. Cora rustles back into place. The commander pauses, looking down. Scanning the page, he takes his time as if unconscious of us. He's like a man toying with a steak behind a restaurant window, pretending not to see the eyes watching him from hungry darkness not 3 feet from his elbow. We lean toward him a little, iron fillings to his magnet. He has something we don't have. He has the word. How we squandered it once. The commander, as if reluctant, begins to read. He isn't very good at it. Maybe he's merely bored. It's the usual story. The usual stories. God to Adam, God to Noah. Be fruitful and multiply. Replenish the earth. Then comes the mouldy old Rachel and Leah stuff we had drummed into us at the center. Give me children, or else I die. That's a quote at the start of the book. Like, back here. And I'm God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of my womb. Behold my maid Bilhah, she shall bear upon my knees, that I also have children by her. And so on, and so forth. We had it read to us every breakfast, as we sat in the high school cafeteria, eating porridge with cream and brown sugar. You're getting the best, you know, said Aunt Lydia. There's a war on. Things are rationed. You are spoiled girls, she twinkled, as if rebuking a kitten. Naughty puss. For lunch, it was the Beatitudes. Blessed be this, blessed be that. They played it from a tape, so not even an aunt would be guilty of the sin of reading. The voice was a man's. Blessed be the poor in the spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the meek, blessed are the silent. I knew they made that up. I knew it was wrong, and they left things out too. But there was no way of checking. Blessed be those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Nobody said when. I checked the clock, during dessert. Canned pears with cinnamon, standard for lunch. And look for Mariah in her place, 2 tables over. She'd gone already. I put my hand up. I'm excused. We don't do this too often, and always at different times of day. In the washroom, I go to the second last stall, as usual. Are you there? I whisper. Large as life and twice as ugly, Mariah whisks back. What have you heard? I ask her. Nothing much. I've got to get out of here. I'm going bats. I feel panic. No, Mariah, I say. Don't try it. Not on your own. I'll fake sick. Then they'll send an ambulance. I've seen it. You'll only get as far as the hospital. At least it'll be a change. I won't have to listen to that old bitch. They'll find you out. Not to worry. I'm good at it. When I was a kid in high school, I cut out vitamin C. I got scurvy. In the early stages, they can't diagnose it. Then you just start it again, and you're fine. I'll hide my vitamin pills. Mariah, don't! I couldn't stand the thought of her not being here with me. For me. They send 2 guys with you, in the ambulance. Think about it. They must be starved for it. Shit, they aren't even allowed to put their hands in their pockets. The possibilities are... You in there. Time's up, said the voice of Aunt Elizabeth from the doorway. I stood up, flossed the toilet. 2 of us, our eyes' fingers appeared. Though the hole in the wall, it was only large enough for 2 fingers. I touched my own fingers to them, quickly, held on, let go. And Leah said, God have given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband, said the commander. He lets the book fall closed. It makes an exhausted sound, like a padded door shutting, by itself, at a distance, a puff of air. The sound suggests the softness of the thin, ornery pages, how they would feel under the fingers, soft and dry, like paper powder, pink and powdery. From the time before, from the time before, you'd get it in booklets for taking the shine off your nose in those real stores that sold candles. and soap in the shapes of things. Seashells, mushrooms, like cigarette paper, like petals. The commander sits with his eyes closed for a moment, as if tired. He works long hours. He has a lot of responsibilities. Serena had begun to cry. I can hear her behind my back. It isn't the first time. She always does this, the night of the ceremony. She's trying not to make a noise. She's trying to preserve her dignity in front of us. The upholstery and the rugs muffle her, but we can hear her clearly despite that. The tension between her lack of control and her attempt to suppress it is horrible. It's like a fart in church. I feel it as always, the urge to laugh, but not because I think it's funny. The smell of her crying spreads over us, and we pretend to ignore it. The commander opens his eyes, notices, frowns, ceases to notice. Now we will have a moment of silent prayer, he says. The commander. We will ask for a blessing and for success in all our ventures. I bow my head and close my eyes. I listen to the held breath, the almost inaudible gasps, the shaking going on behind my back. How she must hate me, I think. I pray silently. Nolit te bastardis carbonvandurum. I don't know what that means, but it sounds right, and it will have to do, because I don't know what else I can say to God. Not right now, not as they used to say at this juncture. The scratch writing on my cupboard wall floats behind me, left by an unknown woman with the face of Mariah. I saw her go out to the ambulance on a stretcher carried by 2 angels. What is it? I mouthed to the woman beside me. Safe enough, a question like that, to all but a fanatic. A fever, she formed with her lips. Appendicitis, they say. I was having dinner that evening, hamburger balls and hash browns. My table was near the window. I could see out as far as the front gates. I saw the ambulance come back. No siren this time. One of the angels jumped out, talked with the guard. The guard went into the building. The ambulance stayed parked. The angel stood with his back towards us. They had been taught to do. As they'd been taught to do. 2 of the aunts came out of the building with the guard. They went around to the back. They hauled Mariah out, dragged her in through the gate and up the front steps, holding her under the armpits. One of them, each side. She was having trouble walking. I stopped eating. I couldn't eat. By this time, all of us was on my side now. So I was on my side of the table, where staring out the window. The window was greenish, with that chicken wire mesh they used to put inside glass. Aunt Lydia said, "Eat your dinner." She went over and pulled down the blind. They took her into a room that used to be the science lab. It was a room where none of us ever went willingly. Afterwards, she could not walk for a week. Her feet would not lift her into her shoes. They were too swollen. It was the feet they do. for a first defense. They used steel cables, frayed at the ends. After that, their hands. They didn't care what they did to your feet and hands, and even if it was permanent. Remember, said Aunt Lydia, for our purposes, your feet and your hands are not essential. Maria lay on her bed. An example. She shouldn't have tried it. Not with the angels, Eleanor said. From the next bed over. We had to carry her to classes. We stole extra paper packets of sugar for her from the cafeteria at mealtimes. Smuggled them to her. At night, handing them from bed to bed. Probably she didn't need the sugar, but it was the only thing we could find to steal, to give. I am still praying, but what I'm seeing is Maria's feet. The way they looked after they'd brought her back. Her feet did not look like feet at all. They looked like drowned feet, swollen and boneless, except for the colour. They looked like lungs. Oh God, I pray. No lit te basarats carbon durum. Is this what you had in mind? The commander clears his throat. This is what he does to us to let us know when it's his opinion. In his opinion, it's time to start praying. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to know himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. He says, it's the sign off. He stands up. We are dismissed. That is the end of chapter 15. We'll see you later for chapter 16. Bye.